guys, thank you so much for being here. This is Girls Guide to Greatness podcast. We are going live on Facebook. My name is Rebecca Shipp, and I am your host. And I have a very special guest for you today. Her name is Zoe. Zoe Rose Fitness is here with us today, and she is here to talk all about how to stay motivated with fitness and why it's so important for your well-being. And everyone who knows me knows I love health and fitness, so this is definitely going to be in my realm of having fun today. So Zoe, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I can't think of a better way to spend a Friday afternoon.
I know it's going to be a lot of fun. And for those of you out there who don't know, Zoe and I actually live in the same city of Edinburgh, Scotland. And we actually got to meet in person not too long ago, before the lockdown, obviously, at this really cute G-Spa. And there's a story behind all that, but we finally got together and it was awesome. So it was really great. But I wanted to tell the audience a little bit about you, Zoe. Let's see here. Zoe's passion. I like reading about people's passions. Zoe's passion is to help people ignore the nonsense within the fitness industry. Instead of listening to confusing messages from the media, she wants to empower her clients to look within themselves to find out what really makes them happy, all the while being sustainable to allow them to successfully achieve their goals. Her goal is to empower women to feel good about themselves and to lead a fit and healthy lifestyle that makes them happy. She recognizes how each individual is unique and allows her clients to focus on what works for them. That is beautifully well said. I love that. So it's almost like you customize these programs specifically for these women to not only lead them on the path to health and fitness, but to really loving who they are in their own bodies.
Yeah, 100%.
How did you get started with that? How did you get started with that, Zoe?
So I think, like a lot of people that get started in this industry, my kind of journey through health and fitness wasn't always this way. And from kind of my experience, I was quite lucky growing up. I was very sporty. I did a lot of figure skating. I was very, very active and generally loved what I did. But then as I approached the age of kind of 18 onwards, all the kind of started being like, oh, well, maybe should I have some abs? Well, my abs aren't very visible. How can I get them visible? And started to feed into that kind of almost like toxic diet culture. I went through the phase of being like, right, I'm going to get super, super fit, but to the point that I may have looked to the kind of naked, I may have looked the fittest ever, but I was probably the most unhealthy I'd ever been, probably physically and mentally. Like I was not okay, and everyone kept saying, oh, you look great, you look amazing, like look how much weight you've lost, but inside I was like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. And that got me to thinking, being like, that this can't be health. This cannot be healthy. I've been in search of health and in search to find out what's healthy. What I am right now is not healthy. I do not feel good. I do not even particularly feel good in my body. It never feels like enough. There must be another way. So that's when I started to educate myself with other professionals through getting help. And I learned, the wonders and the beauty of fitness and of feeling healthy. And that made me think, right, there is a way to do this, and there's a way we can approach through self-love. And it is my mission to help as many women as I possibly can, until I no longer have this business, which I can't imagine ever being. But
right.
This way is so amazing, and it's so empowering, and it just brings so much to my life. I have to share this. So that's why I kind of got started. I hope that sort of explained it. I went off on a bit of a tangent.
Absolutely. I love that, because you were seeking a better way. There's got to be a better way. You really were looking for something where you look great, sure, but you want to feel great at the same time. You want to feel good in your skin and feel good and actually feel, like you said, healthy, the word healthy. Because I think, like you said, it's like some people might look the part, but are they truly healthy? Are they really optimally, feeding their bodies right? Is their organ function correct? Is there, their mental stability, their emotional stability? There's a lot of other things to look at other than the abs.
100%, 100%.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about motivation, because I think this
Mhm.
comes up a lot. The subject comes up a lot, especially in the health industry, because we're like, okay, sure, we get started and we're all excited, especially at the beginning of the year, New Year's resolutions and all. But what happens? People fall off. They fall off track. Get distracted. They fall off the wagon, whatever you want to say. And it's like, okay, so the problem typically is not getting started, but really staying on track, staying motivated. And I've even heard that motivation in itself is not really what we're really truly seeking. It's really discipline. It's really consistency, because motivation wavers, it comes and goes. But I would love to hear you talk more about how we could stay motivated and more focused on reaching our goals.
Yeah, 100%. And this is something that I think pretty much every single woman that I work with, when we first have that conversation, it's, I'm not motivated. I need help with motivation. So this is definitely such a big one. Um, and it's not easy because, as you just mentioned, motivation naturally comes and goes. So it naturally kind of goes up and down and that kind of wave. And I say, sometimes it can be here and that's great. You really kind of have to grab it and run with it. But what we really actually have to do is start setting those healthy habits so we can ride that wave of it going up and down and still have a really solid routine in place. Because I'm going to be completely honest, I got up and I did a 30-minute strength workout this morning, which was, I really enjoyed it. And afterwards, I felt great. When my alarm went off, I did not want to get up. I did not want to do it. I was thinking, this is for me a really tough motivation day. I just feel really demotivated. I'm not feeling it at all. But because I have those healthy habits in place, it would actually be more difficult for me not to do it because I have everything lined up around it.
Right.
So I think that's obviously, for me, this has been years of practice. So for anyone that's thinking, right, I just want to get started, it's the initial, I'd say, probably 12 weeks that's the toughest, because you're laying those habits. You've got to get them down, and they can be a bit of a fight. So I think the first thing is really getting clear on what it is you want to do and
That's good.
why. So finding that reason, like, why do you want to exercise? Is it because you know that you should? How are you feeling at the moment? What could exercise bring to your life? And then start building things around it. But I'd say as well, another huge thing is you've got to enjoy it. You absolutely have to enjoy what it is that you're doing. And I'm not saying you have to enjoy every single squat or push up or anything like that. I'm not going
Yeah.
to say that I did either. There was somewhere I was like, oh, really, almost there. But I love strength training. I really enjoy strength training. But if you hate it, there's ways that you can make it enjoyable. I have never yet met any of the ladies that I've worked with. We also go towards a strength training angle, because that's what it's really good for us to do. So we've made it enjoyable. I've never not been able to make it enjoyable yet. So,
Oh, nice.
there might be someone watching being like, well, challenge accepted. um,
Right.
but yeah, it's finding that enjoyment that I think is going to keep you going, and it's going to keep you showing up on those days where you don't want, because if you're feeling demotivated and you hate what you're doing, how are you going to be able to stick to it? Because I'm not being funny, but this year's been hard enough as it is. Let's not make it harder.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely agree. And Zoe, when you said that, let's not make it harder, it actually reminded me of one of my favorite quotes. I always quote this, but there's a favorite trainer of mine called Shalene Johnson, and she would tell us, make your workouts hard, but make life easy. So life is supposed to be easier. Let's make it easier on ourselves. And then when you're doing your workout, that's where you're supposed to bring all your intensity, energy, right? To really kind of push your body to that next level. But life in general, let's try to make that as easy as possible. So you got to find that nice balance there.
I
I like it.
absolutely love that. I really love that. Yeah, that's so true.
Okay, so we're gonna get clear on what we want first of all, and then we're gonna
Mhm.
pick something we actually enjoy, right? And I think that's a big one too, because a lot of people, and this is actually my experience as well, Zoe, when I first started in the health and fitness industry. Those of you out there who don't know, I am a previous personal trainer, group trainer. I've done just about everything out there. But in those days of me training and everything, I'm thinking to myself, I've got to do weight training and I got to do this and I got to do that. I had listed all these things that I had to do. And I was making up these rules in my head just because I thought that's just the way it was supposed to be done. But in reality, you can create a workout routine that actually does get you to your goal, does the job you're looking for, and that you can enjoy it. It's like, what? I can do all of those things. So if someone's telling you you've got to go to kickboxing 3 times a week to get abs, and you hate kickboxing, find another route, find something else that is going to still give you those results, right?
100%. I mean, there's so much out there now, and yeah, there's no one size fits all as well. So what if kickboxing has got you abs and has made you feel great, it doesn't mean that the next person's going to find the same. So it's more
Right.
about adapting and learning what works for you.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that I was able to do that with my own personal training as well, because I'm like you, I love strength training. I've had lots of good results from that. And so I've learned as a personal trainer how to come up with my own routine that I absolutely love. And then because I like it, it's not work. It's not like I'm having to force myself. I roll out of bed, I put my shoes on, my sports bra, I jump into my little workout and it's not a big deal. Now, other things I may have to, like you said, on those low motivation days, I may have to be like, all right, come on, Rebecca, get up, just get it done, going in there. Let's talk about that a little bit, about the mindset, because I think that's really an important piece, because I know as a personal trainer, I had to learn how to be my own personal trainer, is what another favorite quote of mine from Chalene Johnson. And so in doing that over the years, like you said, I had to practice telling myself, all right, Rebecca, get up, go work out, do this every day, watch what you're eating, because if we don't pay attention, if we're not paying attention, then we easily kind of get distracted. We forget, we're pulled in one direction, especially as entrepreneurs, as moms, as coaches, all these things, life comes at us. And then we're left like, okay, no wonder we're not motivated, because we didn't even set the day out, set the tone for the day, and actually command our day. That's another quote from another friend of mine, Eric and Pam Hampton. But be able to command your day from the very beginning, the very start, that will lead you to the next. Like you said, creating those habits. You do that every single day, and before you know it, it becomes second nature. And especially if it's already ingrained and incorporated around something you like to do. So I think that's really important about the mindset piece. Any tips there, Zoe, on the mindset?
Yeah, of course. I think with the mindset um kind of piece, it's such an imperative, like it's so important, and it's one that I actually teach in my program as well. I'm like, you
Oh yeah.
have to have the right mindset around what it is that you're doing, or else you're not going to be able to either sustain it or enjoy the process. So it's really making sure it's in place. And I actually made an error when I first started my business with my own training, because I was so business, got to help my clients, and my clients need to also be there. I just need to work all of the time, and I neglected my own workouts, my own self-care. And then I wondered why the business wasn't going so well and things were going off, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm working so hard, but I hadn't set those boundaries for myself. And now it's, my, I call it my daily non-negotiables. This is what I must do before I turn on my laptop and before I start working, because this is what I need to set up,
Right.
for me. And I always think about as well, right, the best version of Zoe. She's not quite there yet. She's still working, she's still doing her stuff, but what would she do? How would she show up? Would she make working out a priority? Of course she would. And I think one probably listening or watching probably knows that they want to feel healthy and to feel good in their best version of themselves. And you've got to allow yourself that time and that energy to do so. And it is so, like, how much more productive I am on days that I actually do my workout, make time. I think, oh gosh, I can't fit in that, I need to do this. It's like, no, I need this for my mental clarity. So I think if your mindset's not quite there yet, that's okay. It can take time. It's just taking little steps at a time.
Yes, awesome. I love that. And it kind of goes back to what you said before about getting clear on what you want, but not just getting clear on what you want, but why you want it. because then it makes it even more of an emotional, cause around it and a drive around it. And it's like, okay, so why do you really want those abs, or why do you really want to lose 10 pounds? Then you have this emotional strike behind it, and you're like, yeah, I really want to feel good in my skin. I really want to wear those jeans. I haven't worn them in months, or, and then you start really thinking about that, and it kind of sparks something emotionally in us. And that right there could even be a motivational piece to kind of move you even an inch forward, in the right direction. I think. So getting clear on what you want, why you want it, have fun with it. I love it. And of course, the mindset piece. And I think it's really good for us to say, Zoe, here at this moment, that that's why it's important to have a coach like yourself, to help women, because a lot of women really don't know, or I would say even people in general don't know how to tackle that mindset piece. And that's why we need coaches to help us get on board with that, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's important.
100%. It's why I will always have a coach. I will always be working on a
Yeah,
coach in some area that's I'm developing in, because I know the value of it. And I think something else that really, really helps with, motivation and getting started is not only having that accountability, which is so, so important, but
right.
having that right environment in order to meet your goals. Because even though, we may love our family and our partners and our friends, and they may want the very best for us, they might not know how to actually help get you there. And I see that quite a lot. Like, I love my partner, I respect everything that he says, but if I'm going to ask, I can't go to him with some business advice things, because he doesn't necessarily know the answer, and we just end up butting heads. So to actually have someone who is coaching you, who has experience, and you kind of know can get the results you're looking from,
Right.
it's a game changer. Yeah, definitely a game changer.
Absolutely. I love that. I love how you mentioned, to make sure that we have healthy boundaries and that we pay attention to our environment. Those are subjects I always talk about as well. I have a course, I have several health courses that I do on the side just for fun. And I do talk about those kinds of pieces because it's so important. Because I know what it's like to come from a family that was, poor, they're struggling, they're overweight, they're diabetic, they're smokers. And so for me to be able to choose like a different lifestyle, sometimes that's not easy for people, because it's like, well, all my family members are doing this over here, and then I'm the one who's not. And, so it's kind of hard. Sometimes that might cause tension, but that's where we create those healthy boundaries. That's so important, because I'm telling you, if I hadn't created healthy boundaries for myself, because I love my family to death, but I have to tell myself, okay, Rebecca, what do I truly want? Getting back to that, right? What do I want and why do I want it? And if it's truly important to you, you're going to have to stand up and be an adult and say, guys, I love you, but this time is mine. This 1 hour I've got to work out, or this 1 hour I've got to meal prep, or whatever it is. If it's truly important, we've got to communicate that to our loved ones in a positive, good way, right? As much as we can. And if we can't find support, I always say, go find support, whether it be in a group, a friend at church, or your own coach. Find someone who's going to hold, like you said, hold you accountable, to be there, or maybe just to listen. I know a lot of people just need to be heard. They just need to be like, you know what, Zoe, I tried really hard this week to stay away from the donuts and the pizza, but my family kept bringing it in, and I was tempted and I ate something. And then you're going to be like, okay, that's okay, and then you're going to be honest with them and supportive, but then you're also going to be like, okay, well, how can we fix this? How can we move on from this, right? To make sure that. So I think it's like when we start to really break down the pieces of what's happening, why they're happening, offer support, true support. I think that's where the magic starts to happen, because then people know they're not alone. They actually have a plan in place that they can follow, and then they actually have a goal. And I would love to talk about that next, Zoe, because I know for a fact that most people will set out at a new goal, or a dream, or a new resolution, and they have these big plans in their mind, but they have zero plan on how to get there, and they don't even know where they're going. They'll just put out there, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Okay, so what does that look like? Is that 10 pounds in 1 month? Is that 10 pounds over the next 3 months? Is that 10 pounds of fat? Are you going to gain 10 pounds of muscle? Like, we got to be like specific. So can we talk about like actually how to set a proper goal? Because I think that people, if they don't have that in place, they're going to miss the mark. They're not going to reach it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well, we always wait for it to get easier. we're always saying, right, I've got this goal, I want to do this. I'll start when? I start when, you know, I start feeling more motivated, or when there isn't a pandemic, or, you know, when, you know, my dog feels better, or something like this. And yes, it's there are some circumstances where you're like, you know what, this just needs to be put on the side for a minute. I have too much going on, and that is
Right.
okay. But I think people underestimate, or actually overestimate, how much time and energy it's going to take away from other things, because it's actually the small, consistent little steps, the daily actions that you do,
Yeah.
that are going to make the biggest difference. It doesn't matter if you go for a massive, say you do like a half marathon on a Sunday, but the rest of the week you sit down and you don't get up, but you're putting all that effort in there, you're probably going to get a couple of months down the line and go, well, you know, I'm actually not feeling that great, and I've got all these niggling injuries, and everything's not going to plan. It's like, well, actually, you're putting all this big energy here. Why don't you break it up? Why don't you go for a walk instead? So I think you've got to get clear, and you have to really realize that it's the little steps, and it's the actual getting started, and
Hmm.
saying, right, today I'm going to do something that's going to move me closer to my goal, however small it is. That
Right.
is the important thing, rather than putting it off, or thinking that you need to do something absolutely crazy. Because yes, so
Yeah.
sometimes you have to do some things. You're going to have to go, right, I've got this workout, or I'm going to attempt to get a PB and go the fastest I've ever been before. And yes, that is scary, and you will have to do that. But if you've done the little steps, it's not going to be quite as scary.
Right. So you're saying like it's more manageable to look at
Mhm.
our overall goals if we break it down in these small steps and we just take a little at a time. I love that. I think that's great. That's a great tip. Anything else about staying motivated? Any of your top tips? Like, can you think of like the top three things that people can do right now, today, if they wanted to get started to lose weight and to get back on track? Because we're what in the at the end of February, and I'm
Mhm.
sure there are people out there who started out great for
Yep.
those first few weeks, and then they're like you said, back on the couch, like, dang it,
Yeah.
and they're like, I was doing so good. So we want to talk to those people. How do we get them back up again and running and doing things and moving again?
So the first thing I'd say is, I want you to connect in with that feeling when you were moving and you were achieving, you were getting closer, because that probably felt really good. Your energy levels were high, you felt proud of yourself. So the first thing I would say is connect back in with that energy, and remember what it felt like, and remember that if you have done something, you can do it again. Even if you've not started yet, you can do it. That would be kind of the first thing, to like just remind yourself of how good it felt and why you were doing it. The second thing is that if something happens and it's not working for you, it's not working anymore, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. That doesn't mean that you're lazy, that you're too unmotivated, that you just don't have, you know, the right mindset. It means that what you were doing, that strategy that you were going for, wasn't right for you, or you didn't have the right support or accountability environment set up. So when you go to approach it again, it would be amazing if you could get those things set in place. So where
Yes.
can you find them? Because there are absolutely tons of resources out there. And I'll give you an example for me as well. I've been trying for years now to get flexibility, to get like flat down in my splits, to get, you know, all these flexibility goals that I have. And I've started and stopped them more times than I can count. So I know that it's something that I'll stick to my strength training, I'll stick to my runs, I'll stick to my other things. I know that happens. Flexibility comes and goes because there's always something
Right.
that props up. So I book myself in to flexibility classes, and I have a coach that helps me, that I check in with every couple of weeks.
Nice.
And I book it in the diary, and I pay for those classes. So I show up. So when it
That's
comes to
good.
actually, you know, doing it, I'm just like, well, I paid for this, I'm gonna show up. So there is tons. I'd say that there's so many resources out there at the moment. There's even you know, classes that you can donate to and other things. So there's something for everyone. So look at a way that you can be more accountable, and also reevaluate your strategy. Why didn't it work what can you do now? What can you, because you're gonna get motivated again, and then everything's gonna feel, oh, it's gonna get harder. There's gonna be other things going on. So where's your safety net? Who's catching you? Who's bringing you up again? What habits have you got in place that are gonna make sure that you can keep going?
That's good. I love that. That's great. And it's almost like you're saying to us in a very kind way, hey, no excuses. There is something out there that's going to help you be able to reach your goals. And I love how you said to reevaluate. It's if something was wrong, if something was off. So when I was going through my training days, I told myself, I gave myself this little list. I said, assess, adjust, repeat. So what I would do is like, if I'm starting out a new program, I'll give myself a good 2 weeks consistent back to back. I'm following everything and I'm focused. And if I'm still not where, if the numbers are not moving the way I want, if I'm still missing something, then I would say assess, adjust, repeat. And so I would assess it, what's happening, make adjustments, slight adjustments. Maybe I should maybe eat more fish and less bread, whatever it is, if it's a weight goal or whatever. And so, and then I would just repeat that. So then another 2 weeks, let's do this, let's try this now. And it worked. And so that actually worked for me. Again, like we were saying, Zoe, we've got to find you listeners out there and watchers out there have to find something that works for you. This is just what worked for me, but if you're be willing to try it if you like. But what Zoe was saying is just to reevaluate. If something is off, find out what that is, and having a coach help you identify that's going to make that go a lot faster. So I know my tagline is go further faster. Coaches help you reach your goals faster than you doing them alone. So actually that brings me to my next thing, Zoe. Do you have any programs right now that people can join so they can actually reach out to you and have you help them reach their goals?
Yeah, 100%. So I have kind of the first port of contact to kind of get to know me a little bit more is a Facebook group that I have called the Zoe Rose Movement. And here I post kind of more in-depth advice than I normally would kind of just on like Facebook or Instagram. This kind of goes deep dive into things, and I post workouts. There's tons of resources every Thursday at the moment. I do a free Zumba class just to get people moving,
Nice.
to get everyone laughing. It's my favorite day actually. I love teaching Zumba. It's so much
Zumba
fun.
day. I love it.
Love it. But yeah, that's kind of a really great place to kind of get to know me and get to know my training. And then I do
Awesome.
work one-to-one with women on my program, where it's really teaching everything that we've spoken about today. Is if you're that person that's like, or struggles with motivation, has their goal, hasn't quite achieved it yet, it's my job to get you there, but to get you there feeling amazing. Like, I want you to feel the best version of yourself. I want you to feel happy. I want you to love working out. And I also want to give you all of the tools and knowledge so you can be the expert of your own health and fitness and go off and do it on your own. That's what
That's
I'm
awesome.
trying to give you, all of those tools. So yeah, I call it like my little baby, my program. I always get too excited when I talk about it.
No, that's good. I think that's great. And I honestly love how you said that you don't just train these women to get to their goal, but you also train them to be the expert, to take responsibility of their own health and fitness. So then you can kind of like, it's like the baby's leaving the nest, like, the little birds go off and fly on your own. You're strong enough now. You're smart enough now. And so a good coach actually will be able to train her clients very well in such a way that now her clients are confident, they're strong, they're happy, they're feeling good. And now they can go out, and I always like saying pass the torch. Now they can share their light with others and share their, what they learned, their experiences and their story with others. And it just continues to be passed on. And then my dream would be like everyone's happy and healthy in the world. That'd be so cool. But it starts with us right here, right now. I love
Definitely. I
that.
love that.
That's so much fun. Okay, so wrapping up, make sure you reach out to Zoe, join her group. And Zoe, is that group a free group that they can join?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay, so
completely
check
free.
her out.
Yeah,
Yeah, see all the resources that she has in there. She's going to take really good care of you. The Zumba sounds like a lot of fun. I think I might have to join that one day. I'm like,
please do. Please do. It's, yeah, I
oh
make
my gosh. Yes, I love that kind of stuff. I love dancing and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys check her out. I'll have all of her information, of course, posted in the show notes. And we just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you, Zoe, for being with us and sharing your insight and all of your amazing knowledge on this subject, because I think a lot of people really need this. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved every minute.
Yes, thank you so much, Facebook. And we will see everyone on the next episode. Cheers.